And we're live.
Hello, guys. Welcome back to the podcast, Operation Impart. My name is Jeremy, here with Nate and Sabian, with a guest, Connor. And now my partners in crime will start with the talking points.
Awkward pause. Well, since you started off, might as well roll into the first one. Introduce yourself.
Was that completely cut out? Could you guys not hear that?
No, it was 100%. I was commenting on the awkward pause after the introduction.
Okay.
So now, introduce yourself.
Jeremy. I'm... a joke? Whatever.
That was one hell of an introduction.
I did. I did. What? I don't know what the fuck. What do you say to that? I already introduced myself, which is why I replied like, "Hey, did you guys hear me?" Because I introduced even both of you.
Great. This is going great. So our point at Operation Impart is to impart, is to inform people on our main goals about guns and things related to guns, since guns are such a hot topic right now, mostly being with shootings and all that stuff, usually in America. We're just kind of here to explain that guns, while being a serious matter, can also be a hobby, a way of life, a sport, all those types of things, a way to protect yourself. We want to inform about new laws that have came out, incidences that have came out. So on with that, we're going to go on to a recent incident that happened in Canada, which was the Canada stabbing by, I can name the guy. I wouldn't give him credit usually because we don't usually like to give credit to insane people. But Miles Sanderson was one of the main suspects. There's two, him and his brother. They pretty much went on a spree, killing 10 people and then injuring 18 others. Some of them were planned, and then others were kind of unprovoked, just happened to happen. They did end up finding Miles's brother. They went on a 4-day manhunt. They found Miles's brother dead with no self-inflicted injuries. So maybe Miles possibly didn't want him to snitch or whatever. And then on a chase, Miles ended up taking his own life during the manhunt. He crashed his car and then shot himself. But going on with that, Nate, do you have anything? Nate or Jeremy, you have anything to add to that?
I think it's a perfect example of what's being pushed for in America with the taking away firearms and pushing for so much gun control. It's a perfect example that even if you take away the guns, really all you're doing is taking away from us, the people that are trying to do it legitly and legally and be law-abiding while we do it. And even if all the firearms are gone, people are still going to do crazy shit. So,
and it just kind of takes away the ability to protect yourself when a crazy guy comes at you. I'd rather have a gun to protect myself against someone that has a knife or even a gun. I mean, it just kind of goes to show that once you take those out, and I have other instances about that even though you regulate guns in a country or a state, stuff like that, there's still going to be crimes regardless, and there's still going to be death regardless. But the fact of Canada passing the bill C-21, the act to amend certain consequential amendment, which is essentially to advance national freeze on all handguns and assault rifle style weapons. May 1st of 2020, they prohibited 1,500 guns just because of the fact they looked a certain way, which also included components of firearms. So what makes a firearm? Let me grab my example. The only piece of a firearm, we'll kind of break that down real quick, is the lower receiver. That is the only thing that classifies a firearm. So, without the stock, this piece right here, this small little piece, that is all that's considered a firearm. Can't do much with that, right? But everything else is considered an accessory. So, we'll take a pistol, a stock Glock, for example. The only thing considered is the frame, just like an AR. So this is all that is considered the handgun.
And DeWalt King had a perfect point there. Just like drugs, people will always find a way to get them. You know, it's just because it's illegal doesn't mean people won't get their hands on them. All it means is that legal, law-abiding people will no longer have access to them.
Exactly. This is considered an accessory. So, Canada banned all M4 style, M16, M4 style, all those. They banned the styles of those weapons, or those types of weapons. Also, they banned anything that can produce a muzzle energy of 10,000 joules, whatever that means. I don't speak communist, just saying. Freedom factors, you know, and a bore diameter of 20 millimeters or higher. So anything that is over 20 millimeters is banned. But like we were saying, it kind of defeats, but it kind of strips away the ability for law-abiding people and just people that want to stay safe in general to be able to defend themselves.
Dragon, thank you for the follow on the new channel, carrying over from the last one.
And thank you for joining us. I mean, right out the gate, 8 minutes in.
Right out of the gate.
He was waiting. He was looking for it.
Right?
I know. And good job in your esports tournament. I was able to tune in, not for very long, but watched for a little bit.
Thank you for the follow, DeWalking. Sorry if I mispronounced that, but thank you for the follow.
We appreciate all of the support. Any questions on this one topic?
Or is anyone...
You did tell us you would be here. That is correct.
Anyone else have anything on the Canada stabbing?
I think it just comes back to the basic principle. Nope, bring a knife to a gunfight.
But you can't.
Right?
But they brought a knife.
They brought a knife because there was no guns. Bring a gun. Changes the whole principle of what it is. It's it brings back to the perfect example that no matter what situation we're in or anything like that, I want the odds to be tipped so far in my favor that it's not even a realm of possibility that I'll lose.
That is the nature of escalation of force. Somebody has a knife, you bring a gun. Somebody has a gun, you bring
an RPG.
A fucking tank.
Exactly.
Someone brings the RPG, you bring...
Paste fucking acid.
And Connor brings in to our UK portion of this because, as most of us know, guns are banned in a sense in the UK and have been since 1997. They're not fully banned. You can still get shotguns and certain bolt-action AR-style rifles. But that being said, in 2019, so there's not that many guns in the UK, as we know. 2019, there's 45,000 offenses involving knives and sharpened objects, sticks, whatever the hell it is, stabbings, essentially. In the U.S. in 2019, there's 39,000 firearms incidences, and 14,000 of that being homicides. The other portion being suicides, unfortunately. So that's roughly about 30,000 was suicide. 14,000 being homicides against someone else. In 1996, there was a massacre in the UK, which is when they banned it. In 97, it passed. But since then, stabbings have been on a rise, and because of that, they also now have knife control, essentially. There's actually a website called, Knife Free. Hashtag Knife Free. They're on the police.uk website. There is something called Knife Free, a link, and it's just pretty much don't have a knife. It's kind of weird. But with that, you can have a knife, but you can only have one style of knife, and that is like a Swiss Army knife. You cannot have, or a knife under 3 inches, or 3 inches or under. So any style that locks in place, you cannot have. So any of these styles, I mean, these are just flip ups, lock in place. You cannot have any style of these. You can't have anything disguised. You can't have any stealth knives, hidden knives, like belts that have knives in them, stuff like that. You can't have swords, and also, yes, on the police.uk website, it says, and I quote, zombie knives. Don't know what the fuck a zombie knife is, but you can't have them in the UK.
Can we just touch on that real quick? What is a zombie knife?
I don't know.
My 5-foot claymore identifies as a zombie knife.
Oh. You actually have a claymore?
No, I fucking wish.
I was about to say, that's a pretty based,
I do got a pretty sick kukri, though. That I will consider my zombie knife.
Yeah.
Okay, so just for clarification for all the viewers and everybody else here that's like me and goes, what the fuck is a zombie knife? A zombie knife, also known as a zombie killer knife or zombie slayer knife, is a type of ornate or bladed weapon inspired by zombie films. These knives can range in size and shape. But
I'm sorry, are we
defined
talking
by
about,
a
like...
cutting edge and a serrated edge?
So a knife.
A knife.
So it's a
So-
knife.
so,
That
like,
has been
any-
used in movies
It's an
to slay.
It's an assault.
zombies.
It's an assault knife.
Well, thank you, Walking Dead. You just ruined
Every
the UK.
knife.
Yes, I believe like Call of Duty. I believe that's what. Maybe they've been watching too many Call of Duty streams. Maybe that's what's been happening.
Probably.
Yeah.
In the UK, you have to have certification to own any firearms, and that has to pass through the police. You have to have it to even go and like, hey, I want to buy this gun. You have to go to the police first, get your cert, and then you can go get it. That also
And then,
includes
real quick, yes, Dragon. That means no switchblades.
no switchblades.
Switchblades,
Has to be a
butterfly
No
knives,
butterfly
anything like
knives.
that.
Swiss Army knife only. Everything else, and I'll get to in a second. Everything
So yeah,
else.
like a Bowie knife, except it can't be longer than 3 inches.
You have to
Things are
have
kind of dangerous.
you have to have certifications to buy ammunition, as well. You can't just go buy ammo. You have to have a cert.
This is why you just make your own, so we can blow up in your face.
You also have
Just
to have
kidding. Advice.
you have to have certifications to buy fake guns, so airsoft guns, fake look-alike guns, model guns, stuff like that. And that includes so anything, CO2, pump action air guns, all of that have to have certs.
And who knows? Pretty soon you might need it to buy a water gun.
Who knows? We might get there. You know, there might be too many assaults with piss in a water, in a water gun. But it's not the piss's fault. It's a water gun. It's not the fucking person pissing in a water gun and going shooting people. It's the water gun.
Nope. It's the water gun.
I'm not gonna lie. I would probably rather get shot with the real gun. Piss-filled water gun. That I would be heated.
Can you imagine getting that flavor stuck in your mouth?
What the fuck did you eat last night? Asparagus? You will be arrested if you're caught with a knife or a gun, even if it's a fake one. You will be arrested and you will be prosecuted. And I quote this from the website. No excuse to say it was for your protection. If you carry it, you put your future in danger. If you don't take it with you, it won't be used. That is quote from their website. Which kind of gets back to that you in these states that start banning so much shit, which is why we need to really focus on protecting our Second Amendment, is because of the fact, like these countries, of they ban one thing and then it leads to another thing and then another thing, and soon you can't protect yourself if someone breaks into your home at 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, pitch black, and your dick's swinging. You can't do anything, and they'll just, no, you were in the wrong, you should have let them steal your stuff. No, not happening.
Yeah, that just sounds like a recipe for I'm going to get stabbed and there's no way I can defend myself.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, they're already lawbreakers. Let's say they're the ones with the gun and I'm the law abider. I'm at a deficit.
So, Chicago.
Yep.
Chicago.
New York, California.
Yeah, all these places, we all use these examples because of the fact that Chicago has the strictest gun laws out there. It's not new. We all know they have the strongest gun control, and yet so many people still get attacked every day.
So, Dragon, I'm not sure if police officers outside of their line of duty have a license to carry. I would imagine not. But again, I don't know. And like you said from the beginning, if we don't know something, we're not just gonna make something up for you.
In the UK?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not positive. I think I glanced over that yesterday. I think I did with Canada too, but I can't remember. I didn't write it down. I just wrote it about civilians because, regardless, a peacemaker is anybody. A peacemaker doesn't just have to be the police. It has to be just someone who wants to make sure someone else and themselves are okay and, safe.
So, Dragon, to clarify on that for you, the UK is obviously made up of 4 different countries. In Ireland, all police officers do carry firearm. However, it looks like in the rest of the United Kingdom, standard police officers do not carry firearms. There are certain police officers that hold a special training to carry a firearm while on duty.
Essentially SWAT.
So, yeah, it looks like normal police officers do not carry firearms. They have to be specially trained, and they cannot carry off duty. That's how it appears. I could be wrong about that, the off-duty aspect.
Maybe like police issued pistols, but I don't think that infringes on their 2A. Like,
they don't have.
If they have a gun and police officers don't.
They don't have a Second Amendment. They don't have an amendment there.
Oh, wait. Okay, police officers in the UK. I thought we were talking about like.
No, we're talking about
police
the UK.
Officers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So while they're on duty, they don't have to have a license in order to carry.
But they have.
If they're off duty, they are required to
have this
Or
certification.
they are subject to the same requirements as
civilians.
civilians.
Yeah, Dragon, I agree with you. It is kind of dumb. You know,
Sounds like
at the end of the day, no matter what your opinion is on the police, they should be able to carry a gun. That's why you have police. So, to take that away from a police officer, it's kind of stupid. My opinion defeats the whole point of the police.
Yeah, it's like the security guards that have no guns. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? What are you gonna do? Or the 300-pound security guards, like, what are you gonna do? If some dude runs out with shit, you know, or
Or throw
assaults
fish and chips at him, mate.
Yeah, or like, what the? It just doesn't make sense. Like, why would you have someone who is a set job of securing something and not have a way to secure it? Like, hey, stop. Ah, he didn't
Right.
stop. He didn't stop.
Right, he didn't stop for me. I don't know why.
Let
Oh, look, an active shooter. Let me grab my flashlight real quick.
me grab my mace.
Gosh. People living there are just in such disarray.
I do advise if any female watching this and you carry mace, don't be afraid to use it. If you feel your life is threatened, use mace all you want. It's not deadly. I mean, they might have, in a rare occasion, they could be allergic, but typically not. Spray the shit out of people, dude. If you get scared, just hose them down like a fucking, fireman. Who cares?
Well, I mean, if you're in that kind of situation,
I
why
would,
should you really care for their life if
Yeah.
they are allergic to it?
yeah, if they're putting
Yeah, at
your,
that point you should be calling 911 while they're gagging on the ground.
I'd say go a step further and use bear spray.
Ooh, I have seen that
a lot
used.
stronger.
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, it is. Like, anybody, even if the sprayer gets misted, like, you're fucked. You're just like, oh, fuck, here we go. Wind in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Right.
Pepper spray is kind of like a knife. No one wins in that fight. No one. But I'd rather breathe in a little bit of pepper compared to getting cut,
Oh, dude, I can't imagine those guys who were just drenched in the face with pepper spray. And their face starts to swell up, and they're screaming, and they're clawing at their face, and they're like, "Get it off! My eyes are melting!" And you're just like, well, you should have stolen that stuff.
That would be the
Right.
worst if you went to anaphylactic shock from from bear spray, because one, you have it in your system already, and then your system's closing. So it's like a double fuck to that point.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Does bear spray even work on bears?
Yes.
Like, what's the effectiveness on, like, bears? Can you stop, like, a
Here's
fully...
the problem with bear spray. Who in their right fucking mind is letting a bear get that close to them?
Right?
liberal hikers who are afraid of firearms?
Like, what are you doing? They're
I don't know. I think you should have a healthy combination of both. The bear spray doesn't also need to work for bears. Like, you got to keep in mind, like, even if you have a gun, unless it's a shotgun, and it has a pretty wide frickin' spread, if something is getting or charging at you that close, like, let's say it's not a bear, I mean, bear spray kind of works. Guns are nice, but and they're loud, but like the effectiveness of you actually hitting a moving target like that is kind of slim to none if you have zero training.
Yeah.
right. But that brings us back to the last episode where I harped on training. Everybody that owns a firearm should do some kind of training, even if you're doing self-training.
Should want to.
Right.
I mean,
Like
just,
if you're not training, you're not learning and you're not progressing.
yeah.
That would be like, I don't even know.
Like
And-
getting a car
and
without
if-
a driver's license.
If you're not old enough, you can still train. It's not going to be the same, but buy a gas blowback airsoft gun. Set up some targets in your room. Have one up there, one over there. and just go to town. You know, it at least gets the fundamentals of drawing, presenting, and having a good trigger pull and getting that accuracy down and that speed down, and you're gonna get that repetition in, and it's gonna get that muscle memory built up. And then when you are old enough to get a gun, if that's what you want to do, which I suggest everyone getting a gun that legally can, it would already be ingrained in your head. You'll have your firearm safety built in. You'll have all the discipline put in. You'll have the training put in, and now you just need to put that with live ammo. Got Nate shoving his face over here.
Listen, you're the one that wanted to do this an hour early. This is my dinner time, you fucker.
Pizza rolls and Coors Light.
Goddamn right. This is the third podcast I've said Coors Light sponsor us. Do it. Do it for your boy. Ugh.
Next thing you know, Marlboro and a bunch of other freaking entities are gonna say, "Oh yeah, we'll sponsor Nate."
Hey, dude, I'll
See
take
how
a
long he
Marlboro
lasts.
sponsorship. I probably won't use their stuff, but shit, if you want to sponsor me, sponsor me.
Multi-million-dollar company protected by, elitists just because we were founded on tobacco for the U.S. Easy.
Right.
Oil,
What?
ammunition, and fucking tobacco. That's the American way.
And liquor.
And liquor.
Might as well be ATF ran.
Oh, wait, it is.
ATF should be a superstore.
It should be. Alcohol, tobaccos, and firearms. Wouldn't that be lit? You just go
Put 'em
in, you
everywhere,
got
like fucking Dollar Generals.
not even dollar. Oh man, yes. Actually, yes. Complete with bad customer service too.
Oh, absolutely.
You
Just
got
hire
like,
motherfuckers from Waffle House.
right, just 16-year-olds who don't know their ass from a hole in the ground, and they're just, what would you like to have?
Right. What do you want today, kids?
I want a bottle of Jack Daniels and 3 boxes of 50 cal and the Barrett behind you. That'd be a fun fucking day.
I got a 24 pack of Natty Light, High Point 9mm.
Not the high point.
The motherfucking cannon, let's
Listen,
go.
if you're out here drinking Natty Light, you probably do own a High Point. And I mean that with the most uttest regard of disrespect.
Yeah, there was a guy like that at my old job. His name was Kyle. I shit you not. He bragged about owning a High Point.
What kind of a high point?
Doesn't
It
matter.
doesn't even fucking matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Honestly,
I don't know, man.
honestly,
That's what his everyday carry was.
the high point carbine looks pretty dope for the price.
Yeah, sure, if you're trying
Yeah,
to
but then you
replicate,
gotta
like,
ask
the
why is it
Columbine
that price?
shooting. People forget, one of the motherfuckers actually used the high point 9mm in that entire shootout.
Canceled. High point canceled.
They should have been. I don't know how, like, them as a company actually kept going after that.
High Point, please don't sponsor.
High Point was probably like, holy shit, our guns work?
That should be their slogan.
They're like,
Holy shit, it worked.
I didn't think it could actually cycle 17 rounds.
It usually
can't
fucks
believe
up
it's
on
not
the
high point.
first.
Okay.
To be fair,
So now-
Kimber.
We
I don't
can
know,
roll-
Kimber's alright.
We will take the Canada stabbing gun bans and roll that right into what your best offensive and defensive measures are for self-defense. What you should be using and practicing. Save your life.
Well,
I think, well, number one is your best friend is situational awareness.
That is
Yeah,
true.
That is on the dot.
that is
actually paying attention to what's going on around you.
because it's not so much just like there's gonna be days you forget your firearm, but again, you should have that situational awareness ingrained into your head where you can see, you're constantly scanning. You're constantly knowing what's going on around you, listening, seeing, and seeing how certain people are acting. I mean, we've all seen a time where we've gone to a store and you can see someone being suspicious, whether they're stealing, whether they're on drugs and acting a little off. But you can kind of get that sense, that intuition in your gut of like, hey, I need to distance myself. And on that note, we should also all take into account that the 15-foot rule. If there's an aggressor or someone that could be suspicious, give yourself that distance of 15 feet or more. I mean, if you have a firearm or not, that gives you enough time to pull your firearm, and that gives you enough time to determine an exit plan within those 15 feet. Because you don't know if that person, I mean, if you think about it, that's 2 steps of lunging to get to 3 steps of lunging to get 15 feet. Not that far. So,
and that is from a undrawn holster. Like if your gun is already drawn, like you have the advantage.
But right. even then, we've seen some body camera footage of officers. There's one recently of a female officer who she didn't get her distance very well. She's probably 5, maybe 7 feet away from the person, and the dude lunged at her, and she got stabbed, and she fell back, and hit her head, all that stuff. And luckily, the other officer was able to take down the threat. But even if your gun's out, what happens when someone's on top of your gun, and moves the gun or whatever? Again, I mean, 5-10 feet, pushing the gun out of the way.
Rolls us right into, you should always be carrying extra mags. The biggest argument that I've heard for extra mags is, well, what do you need 30 to 45 to 60 rounds for? Well, first off, if I get into a gunfight, you're going to want the most amount of ammunition at your disposal possible. The second thing is there's one little button on the side of your firearm that releases your mag. That's it. One little button and it drops. When somebody's coming at you, whether they've attacked you, gotten a hold of you, you're in the moment, you press that button, the mag drops. Instead of having to search on the ground for that mag, you now have the ability to just reach, grab a new one, and put it in.
Yeah, on that note, about FBI statistics state 3 to 5 rounds is what it takes to take down one suspect. If you get jumped by 3, 4, 5, 6 dudes, think about that. That adds up quick. I mean, if your magazine can only hold 10, like in Washington State regulations, unless you're hitting off buttons, T-boxes, fucking right out the holster instantly, I mean, you're not gonna survive very long. It's scary. And like Nate was saying, one button, there's many officers that have had that happen to where they get shot at, finger gets nicked, get hit, or even instances of a bullet hitting your mag and dropping your mag out, and then bam, you have a shattered magazine. A hole through your magazine won't hold anything. Springs busted, whatnot. You want to have that backup. A $15 carrier. All it takes, $15. Bam, got 17 rounds with me. An extra 17 rounds. Bam, extra 21. And also onto that, most issues with firearms will be magazine related, whether it's like failure to feed, stuff like that. It will be a magazine issue. There's a lot of instances of very poor PMags that don't sit right in your firearm that won't chamber the next round, or the spring in it is too compressed and loose and it won't push the bullet up high enough and chamber it in. So it's always nice to have that backup plan. And 2 mags minimum. Always carry 2 mags. If you can carry more, go for it. If you can carry 3, 4, carry an extra on you, but in your car have 1 more or 2 more. So at least you have another option to get to.
There's just so many variables when it comes to something like this. And I mean, like Xavier said, I mean, if you're getting jumped by multiple targets, or you're not hitting C boxes. You're not. It's not happening. Maybe if you get lucky. I don't care how much training you have. The odds of you putting 3 rounds on 3 separate targets and hitting T boxes on every single one is slim to none. Because no matter how good you are in a range, once that adrenaline dump happens, I mean, there's statistics proving it. Your accuracy drops by like 40 to 60%. So why would you not want to be prepared to the point where you don't have to worry about running out of ammunition?
Yeah, it's the whole stigma of why do you need that much ammo? Because I want the upper hand, always.
Right.
My life is the most important thing to me. No one else's. I don't care if you're on drugs. I don't care if you're mentally ill. I don't care about anything else. I care about going home, seeing my animals, taking care of my animals, seeing my family. That's all I care about. It sucks you might not be able to do that again. But at the end of the day, we have one life. I'm living my life.
The only time I want to be worried about conserving ammunition is on a range. That's the only time that I want to be thinking about how many rounds I have left. If I'm actively engaging targets, I want my round count to be the bottom of my barrel of works.
Yeah. I think actually, now that I really, really think about it, I think I carry about 3 mags with me everywhere I go.
I do too.
Yeah, I carry my main mag plus 3 extras, so I'm carrying
4.
I'm carrying 60 rounds at a time. 61 plus the 1 in the chamber.
I carry technically 4, so altogether 60, like 63 plus like 80, like 89, because I carry 2 guns. I like to carry 2 guns. I have my backpack gun. I have my walking around gun. My backpack gun is okay. I've exerted all my ammo on this gun. There's another threat possible. I'm gonna get my the pickle from far away gun, which is usually my AR 300 blackout. I carry 3 mags of this as well, so my backpack is heavy as fuck. But I want to have my reaching distance, and then I want to have my close-up distance, which is usually the handgun.
Yeah, I usually keep at least just 3 to 4 mags on my plate carrier for my backpack gun. Then I'll always toss like another 2 in my backpack that I throw in my truck too. And that's just for my backpack gun. If it's my everyday carry handgun, I'm at least 2 to 3 mags.
You just gotta have. I mean, there's gonna be situations. I mean, what happens if someone shoots your gun, right here, and just destroys it? Bam, your gun's gone. You're like, oh shit, I'm fucked. I don't have another gun.
And when you're buying a firearm, the magazines are literally the cheapest part of the process. The cheapest. I mean, if you're spending,
$700.
let's just say you're getting your first carry gun, you're getting a Glock, you can expect to pay about $500 to $600 for the firearm. Come prepared to spend another $100 on spare mags, and that'll pick you up 4 to 5.
And also, another one I'd suggest is bring another $100. Usually they don't cost $100. Bring another $100. So bring $800 and buy yourself a good appendix. I suggest appendix. It's what I like to run. Some people can't. Some people have bellies. Some people don't. I'm pretty skinny. I recommend appendix just because it's the closest to you. Someone has to come into, right here and get past my arms before they get to this, instead of getting past one arm that I have no leverage behind me, kind of thing, on 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock styles.
But that also brings us back to the 15-foot rule. I carry at the 7 o'clock position, but I hold the solid 15-foot rule. If somebody's an aggressor and situational awareness, if I'm aware of somebody lurking around me, they're not getting inside of that bubble.
There's many instances of people at gas stations getting gas or getting snacks inside the gas station, and someone walks up behind them and yanks it out of their holster, which, again, get a good holster. If you are going to open carry, if that's all you can do, if you don't have your CPL, whatnot, or if you're concealed carrying, get a good retention holster. You want a good retention holster. This one, I mean, this one's not, this is appendix, so it's a little different, but, you know, it's not the greatest, but again, it's in front of me. Or you can have your level 3
be prepared
style.
to spend $80 to $100 on a good holster.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you have one that's a level 2 with a button, or it is just a level 1. Mine is a level 2 with a button with a perfect pull out. So you have to pull straight up to pull my firearm, even if you've hit the button. If you try to pull at an angle, either way, it's not releasing. You have to hit the button and come straight out, or it's not releasing. And that's going to be your best advantage, because 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get the firearm in the first pull.
Makes me think I need a lot more training.
Hey, there's always room to improve. You never know everything.
Right.
And there's never that. I want to do one of those classes that hold situational awareness, where they put you through a bunch of real life experiences and when you can and can't use your firearm.
Mm-hmm.
That is something that I want to do, just because I feel like it's such a great learning experience.
A good way for situational awareness too is it's kind of judging a book by its cover. You know, you just look at people and you're like, you know, this person's blah blah blah. You start making assumptions, and like, you can kind of, if you want to, if you can tell they're not an aggressor, not someone who, you know, tell they're friendly, you can go up and spark a conversation. Just ask them and see how close you are. Tim Kennedy talks about doing this all the time with his buddy. You just see how close you are. And then through the years, even through the months, you'll start getting better, and you'll start realizing that your assumptions on people are pretty damn good or need improvement. And then you can see that you are building that awareness of how certain people act, you know, how people dress, on their actions, stuff like that. But going on,
I mean, all types of learning. You know, doing a range day where you're out in the open, and you run. You know, you get your blood pumping. You get a little bit physically exhausted, and then you have to put rounds on target. You know, training your body for all these things and taking them all as learning experiences. Like we mentioned, when you go through an adrenaline dump in a situation, your accuracy drops 40 to 60%. So if currently on a range you're putting all your rounds within a 4-inch target, now you're putting all those rounds in a 9-inch target, which puts you at a high risk of missing. Whereas if while doing all these things you're able to put all your rounds in a 2-inch target, now you're at a 5 to 6-inch target.
yeah, and then on from your your offensive styling, you also need defensive. And it's kind of vague on what I mean, but you also need to know. You need to know, I guess that's defense. I would say offensive because you have an upper hand essentially with having a firearm. You also need to know your defensive medically of, okay, I or someone else has been shot and now the threat's down. I've covered the threat. Someone else is taking care of the threat. I need to work on this person. And I believe everyone should take some sort of training, if not at least watch it. There's a lot of good programs out there for combat medical training on YouTube. They're like 3 hours long, and they go into depth about hemostatic gauze, tourniquets, all that type of stuff. Everyone should know how to use those and essentially carry those because of it possibly saving yours or someone else's life or someone you love, stuff like that. And I think going on from that, we'll have to go into, because we're looking like we got, 15, 20 minutes left. We'll go on to everyday carries and an optimal everyday carry, minimalistic everyday carries, and then a little bit more. Jeremy, do you want to start us off on what you carry every day and what you would consider being a best minimalistic and a best kind of...
Well, my situation is a little bit different than most people. I'm usually, well, when I'm working, I'm usually either low to the ground or high on a ladder. And I'm constantly moving, so I can't exactly keep an appendix concealed carry on me.
Not so much that, but just like if you go to the store, or even if going to work, not so much of like having it on you all the time.
Well, I think it matters in this regard is that some people have like more mobile jobs. What I do have as an EDC is my holstered Glock 19 that I keep somewhat close to me while I'm working, whether that's in a truck or it's in a corner of a house that I'm working in. It just depends on, like, I guess, what you do. My EDC also consists of a OTF knife, and I'm thinking about buying another cat tourniquet and keeping that with me. I also need to do more training with a cat tourniquet.
Nate?
So currently my EDC is a Taurus G2C, standard 15 round mags. Garbo, don't recommend. But I will say it's a very good firearm to get started. If you don't have a lot of money to get started, I don't have a lot of bad things to say about the Taurus. I mean, I have rarely had a problem with it firing ammunition. For where it's priced at, it has a solid trigger. The sights on it don't rattle or anything like that. Overall, for its price point in the firearm market, it is a great starter handgun. Aftermarket support on them is crap, but that's because you bought a cheap gun. It's just how that goes. And then I carry a 4-inch knife, and then I also carry a small first aid kit with me in my vehicle wherever I go. And as far as what my ideal EDC kit would be, I think I would keep the first aid kit. I eventually want to get a tourniquet to keep as well. And then I want to make the switch to a Glock 43X through a company called Shield Arms. They make extended mags for those. So the 43X is the new version of the original 43, which is a subcompact. It's been redone, and then Shield Arms makes extended mags for them that are 20-round mags. Keeps it in that subcompact category of the barrel length, extends the grip of it down a little bit more, so that way a bigger hand can fit around it. And then instead of holding 12 rounds, you're now holding 20. So that gets me to the point where carrying 3 extra mags, I'm carrying 81 rounds with a loaded chamber.
And then Connor, what's a good one for you?
Right now, I have the service model Springfield XD 4-inch barrel. Always carry at least 2 to 3 mags. I usually have Hornady defense rounds.
It's so horny.
Me so horny? Yeah. Then always pocket knife. And then recently I added zip cuffs to my everyday carry. Because you never know.
That is actually a very good point.
You can make citizens arrest. I recommend reading up on whatever state you're in, read up on the laws for citizens arrest and what you're eligible to do, but that would be a very good thing to do for citizens arrest.
Well, I mean, it's perfect to carry. Let's say, hypothetically, you're somewhere, there's an aggressor, you have to put rounds down on target. the target is injured, everybody else is accounted for, safe. He's the only person that needs medical treatment. That puts you in the perfect opportunity to put the zip cuffs on him and start medical treatment on him without any risk of him coming back at you.
Or a minimalistic.
Or hurting himself
Because
or anybody else.
as much as we all want to say the guy deserved it, right? Because he does. If you have to put rounds down target, he deserved it.
Most
But then
likely.
also at the very end of it, I mean, if he's not dead at that point, you also hold a responsibility to do everything you can. And then, I mean, it's going to help you at the end of the day in court. Because if you shoot somebody, you're going to court for it. There's no doubt about it. You are going to have to prove why your shooting was justified. So if you can prove why your shooting was justified and then prove that you offered or you rendered medical aid to the guy you shot at, that will only help you.
And we are not.
And those,
We are not sponsored by USCCA, but if you are in a state that is eligible for USCCA, they are essentially insurance for self-defense. So if anything happens,
which I hold.
New York has that, but Washington doesn't. What the fuck? But USCCA, they will cover up to $2 million on any civil suits, legal actions. They will appoint an attorney to you to deal with the case, so you don't have to go in it and use the court newbie who just got out of law school. They will have people that specialize in this stuff come out, do your court case, and it's just a little bit of insurance to kind of keep you from, you know, all the risk and possibly losing your rights as a person because you decided to protect yourself or someone you loved, or even you protecting other people.
And I mean, as terrible as it is to say, right now, this is going to sound so ignorant, but it's the truth. They're coming for firearms. It is what it is. There's no way to slice and dice it. They're starting at the top and working their way down. And every time they think that they can make a case against a self-defense case, they're going to do it. It's the nature of the game. It's what we decide to play with anytime we decide to carry a firearm to protect our own life. So if you can hold USCCA insurance, why wouldn't you? It's relatively cheap. I mean, if you think about it, over the course of 10 years, you'll pay $1 to $2 grand. But if you actually have to shoot somebody and then pay for that out of pocket, that's going to be 20 to 30 grand in legal fees that you're going to have to cover.
If you're lucky,
instead of having it all covered.
If you're lucky,
by
That's on
USCCA.
the low
yeah,
side.
yeah, that's
Right.
the low. If the person doesn't have family that sues you. That's if there's a whole bunch of variables. But yeah, I mean, you're spending a tremendous amount on lawyer fees, the court case, a possible lawsuit. The state can sue you if anything, because you put someone
Right.
else in. You know, there's all these things, so you might as well protect yourself and just.
Could be the next Kyle Rittenhouse.
Or Elijah Dickinson.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
But make me the next Kyle Rittenhouse. You know how much money he's getting from all these news stations right now?
right?
Yeah, but do you know what?
And defamation that he got by the president.
Yeah, he's suing the Biden administration for like $5 million.
He is
Which
based, but that's only because he won the court case. The DA of that.
To be
That's the thing.
100% open and clear, I 100% support him suing anybody and everybody that defamed him, because that trial was so much bigger than it needed to be and made Kyle Rittenhouse a household name that could, I mean, it could impair him from living a normal life for the next 10, 15 years.
If not more. I mean, he's in the history books right now. And he's either in the history books for winning a huge court case, because it was very big. I mean, 3 people shot. And that, or he's looked at as a villain for shooting a bunch of
You know, and
pedophiles.
if you forget everything else about him, you get rid of the Black Lives Matter movement, you get rid of the fact that there was a pedophile and a sex offender involved, you get rid of all of that. If you objectively look at each and every one of those shootings, you can see it clear as day that it was justified. And it just proves that things are just going to be twisted and turned to whichever viewpoint they need to be presented to make you into a villain. Doesn't matter what else you do.
I guess I'll get into my everyday carry. My everyday carry is pretty big. I usually carry a SIG P320 with 3 magazines, 2 21 rounders plus 1 in the chamber, and a 17 rounder. I carry a knife on me, another spare knife in my backpack. I carry a cat tourniquet. I carry a little bit of medical, ibuprofen, stuff like that. What else? I carry a little bit of spare clothing, like socks, stuff like that. So if anything, if I ever have to go out in the woods or get stuck in the woods and your feet keep heat, so gotta keep stuff warm. Compression, vet wrap, stuff like that. Gauze, some scissors, so if I need to cut clothing, cut gauze, anything like that. Or make a makeshift tourniquet out of the gauze, I can use the scissors. There's different types of knives you can use. You can have a straight blade, just standard straight blade. You can have more of a kind of chopper, big, hefty, thick blade to really cut through stuff. My personal favorite is a little bit of serration with a straight blade, just so, cut fine things or cut through stuff that needs to be cut through that's going to take a little bit more sawing action. And then also carry either my 300 Blackout or my MP5. Unfortunately, MP5's 22 long rifles, so I don't really rely on that one too much compared to the 300 Blackout, but kind of depends how light I want my backpack, how heavy I want my backpack. But for minimalistic, though, I would probably say the best minimalistic is to at least have a firearm, whether it's compact, subcompact, or full size. At least have an extra mag, at least have a knife, at least have a flashlight. I do carry a flashlight in my backpack just because anything that happens at night I want to be able to see. Human eyes aren't that great. Whether that be a flashlight on your gun or just a handheld flashlight, Streamlight makes some really good flashlights that last a long time and are pretty hefty, metal framed flashlights. You can beat the shit out of them. All that.
I can see Jeremy getting a little huffy because it's not O-light.
Not Surefire.
I don't own any Surefire. I'm kind of a Streamlight. What do you call it? Kiss ass.
Enthusiast.
Like all of my stuff is Streamlight.
You could just be like Jeremy, and you could just own a $10,000 pair of Nods.
3,000. 3,000, but PVS 14, 3,000. I
think that should be like the next talking point. In the next podcast is actually bringing up like specific articles of gear. Anyway, just an idea for later on.
Yeah. A good gear overhaul.
That is actually something that I need to start packing in my bag, though, Sabian. That you bring up a good point is like some bug out essentials.
Yeah.
It doesn't always need to be like everyday carry. It could also be like in case something happens. Like I'm off in like you said, the woods, or I'm out in an environment where I don't exactly feel equipped.
Yeah.
Or it'd be a smart thing to bring some. Yeah.
You're driving on a pass and flip your car over a fucking edge, roll down the hill a few times, no one knows where you are, and you have to hobble your way somewhere. It's good enough to at least have some stuff, ibuprofen to keep a fever down. If you have a broken leg or something like that, because it probably will happen. You have protection. You have something to stop bleeding. All these types of things. I have Dayquil and NyQuil just in case you get sick, and you can't get to something right away. Just a little bit extra. It's Dayquil. A pack of Dayquil. Like just a strip of it is not gonna take up that much room in your backpack. Just throw it in there, put it in a plastic bag so it doesn't get wet. seep out if it pops or anything. Put it in there. I also keep like a charger and stuff if like I get stranded somewhere. I have I had it around here. I have a a portable charger, so one that you keep a charge on it. You can hook it to your phone, charge it wherever. Have stuff like that. But yeah, always good to have a little bit extra. Again, better to have it, not need it, and instead of need it, not have it.
Right. Be over prepared, not under prepared.
Yeah.
The whole deal about being in this, I guess, the lifestyle is having an edge on just about everybody around you.
And
I like the use of that word, lifestyle. I mean, that's really what it is here. You're not.
Well, if it isn't a lifestyle, like it is a way of life. We're protecting ourselves. We're trying to protect others. Yeah.
I don't go anywhere without a gun. It's just
well, anymore. I mean, Sabian is probably right around the same boat. It also turns to a point to where it's less about protecting myself and more about protecting my family.
Yeah.
You know, if I go anywhere with my wife, making sure she is safe is priority number one. And it changes your viewpoint from if something happens to solely focusing on target and putting rounds down, and more so getting her to safety and firing if I need to clear a path.
Yeah.
You know, it's things change once you get a significant other, children, anything like that. Your viewpoints change on what you need to do and how you need to do it. And it really is. I mean, when you start carrying a firearm and you train and you become proficient, you are a protector. Not only for your significant other, you're also a protector for any other victims in this scenario. You know, any innocent bystanders, you have become one of the key protectors. And obviously, in a perfect world, everybody would be carrying a firearm, and then shootings wouldn't be happening. But
or if they did happen, it would happen very, very quickly.
Right. It would end with one injured or one dead.
Or 2 injured, no dead, or I think it was 3 injured, no dead in the Elijah. Or did someone die in that one? I can't remember. I don't think so.
The shooter died.
He's not a person. We're not talking about him.
But you just want to clarify. Somebody did die, but it was the shooter.
But
nobody important.
Nobody important. Those people that got injured and didn't, they got wounded and they were that buck crawling through the woods, that dude couldn't come back and shoot him because a 22-year-old amazing dude took out the target as soon as it started happening. Not hiding and waiting and then, oh, maybe I can do it now. No. He was like, okay, it's shooting. I'm going. We're doing this.
Right.
It wasn't, he snapped that trigger in his head and he knew he had to do what he had to do. And I was to protect him and, again, his significant other along with everyone else. Because in this lifestyle, like Nate said, we're trying to be protectors not just for ourselves, not just for the people we love, but for everyone else that isn't in this lifestyle and isn't an aggressor or trying to cause harm to other people that are just trying to live their normal life. We want to make sure people can go home and live their normal life. We don't want someone to get a call that their wife or husband was shot in a mall with their kid next to them. No one wants to. No one wants to hear that. And that, with this lifestyle, it is our duty to essentially put our body, our mentality, our mental state on the line just to protect everything else.
You are the de facto defender of everybody when you don the responsibility of firearms ownership.
Yeah.
Right. And in that same statement, it's also important to clarify your first aid kit, your tourniquet, anything that you carry with you, that goes to you first. If you are shot, injured, stabbed, anything like that, you have to save yourself first. Now, in a perfect scenario, you won't be shot, you wouldn't have been stabbed, you suffered no injuries, and then your tourniquet and first aid supplies goes to victims that were injured.
Or
the primary reason why we carry this gear is to save our own lives and our family's lives. And if our family and myself is intact, then my gear can be used on somebody else.
Or again, with your training, you will learn certain, if you have a bullet hole through your arm and it's a straight through, it's not bleeding that much. You don't have any broken bones. You can be like, okay, I can survive without a tourniquet. This person's bleeding out right here. They have a broken femur coming up out of their leg, gushing blood. Then you can kind of determine on the situation, okay, I don't need it, even though I've been injured. They need it. Then you can be like, okay,
right,
get it on them. It's kind of, again, with not so much situational awareness, but kind of just understanding the situation that's preceded in front of you.
Medical triage.
Yeah.
Right. And then another part of it is learning, this is going to be a touchy subject, but it's learning when to use your firearm. That's going to be the biggest factor of situational awareness you can have, is when do I think I need to use my firearm, and when am I legally able to use my firearm? It differs state by state. So for people that don't know, there's two different things. There's a law that's called a stand your ground law. Stand your ground law means you have no duty to retreat. You can stand your ground. That means you can protect you, your family, any innocent bystander. You have no obligation to try to seek shelter. And there's also a castle doctrine. A castle doctrine applies to your home. That means if somebody breaks into your home, you don't even have to say a word. You can just shoot them in the face, and you're legally covered.
That one doesn't matter if they're turned around, doesn't matter if they're retreating. Castle doctrine, if anyone is in your home, that already they pushed the line of their life, essentially.
Now, if your state has a stand your ground law, but no castle doctrine, like Washington State, if somebody enters your home and they're facing you, and you can determine that they have a knife, a firearm, anything that could cause imminent deadly threat or injury, you can shoot them. However, if they turn around, if they're trying to leave, you cannot. So that's the important part about knowing your state's laws. As much as we like to go on the federal laws, it's really the state is what decides when and where you can use your firearm, and in what case. There are times where the right thing to do would be to use your firearm no matter what. I'm not telling you that you shouldn't use your firearm. You just need to be aware of the repercussions of using your firearm in any situation. And if you use your firearm, my biggest piece of advice is to shut the fuck up. Don't say a word.
Don't incriminate yourself. Don't say, oh, well, blah, 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 blah. Just say, I need to talk to my attorney. We are not suggesting you use your firearm either. We are suggesting that you know your laws and your rights as a person of when you can use your firearms. We're not saying
because
shoot people. We do not. Right. We don't want to put that out there. But know your law when you can protect yourself. Again, it's by state and even sometimes by county. So you got to look up what county and state you live in and understand those laws of when you can use lethal force and whatnot. Like Washington State, like Nate was saying, you can use deadly force if it's a deadly weapon they are using. If they're coming at you and hitting you and beating the shit out of you, technically under Washington State law, you cannot shoot them unless there's multiple people.
Unless you're a woman.
Unless you're a woman. Use that to your advantage.
Use the sexism to your advantage, okay? If you're a woman, you can shoot pretty much anybody and get away with it. I know that sounds terrible, but it's the truth. As a man, I have to articulate why I wasn't able to overcome the threat with my physical body and why I had to resort to lethal force. Women don't have to make that same argument. Use it to your advantage.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, just know everything. Washington State, if it has to be equal force applied to the aggressor, essentially.
And we keep on talking about them like we're sponsored by them, but we're not. But USCCA is a great resource if you're looking to just get some basic knowledge about what your state's laws are and how to, and even by county, uscca.org. You can break it down by state. Even applies to if you hold a concealed carry permit, you can click on a map and it'll show you what states recognize that state's concealed carry permit. They are a great tool and resource for the community as a whole. Not the NRA. I don't like the NRA.
I don't think anybody should like the NRA. They worked with the ATF, and that's enough for
Right?
me.
The NRA was really good right up until they said, we actually agree with the ATF on this subject. It's like, well, you can't ever agree with the ATF if you want my approval.
Like, the whole point of the NRA is to not be the ATF. And
Right.
after they started selling out information to the ATF, it's like, nope, you don't get a
Right.
single dollar from me.
You don't get my support anymore.
It's wild. Remember, everyone will turn for a buck.
And then to give recognition where it's due, a lot of the topics that we cover, Colion Noor also covers. That's where we get some of our talking points from. He has a great channel. Go check him out. He's a huge member of the Second Amendment community as well.
Yeah, that, and then also Grantham. I mean, has a lot of gear reviews, stuff like that. I love his stuff. He has, because he's also on the path of, kind of like Lucas from T-Rex Arm. The Second Amendment isn't just about self-defense. The Second Amendment is, again, having an upper hand, and that even means, Jeremy's not going to like me saying that, but even against the government. We don't like them, but
We don't like how they operate.
we don't.
It's nobody in particular, Biden. And it's not really any specific institution.
ATF.
FBI, ATF, CIA, DOJ. I mean, look, we don't have any, I guess like
Bad blood.
targeted like we're not calling any of those types of people out yet.
Yeah.
Give it a couple months to a year.
Right. Although, for your homework, you probably should look up, Ruby Ridge and Waco and a bunch of other incidences, like Operation Fast and Furious.
Is that the one that go into space?
Sure, man, they go into space. Operation Fast and Furious, selling guns to the cartel, and then that's it. They literally just sold guns to the cartel.
Okay.
Not even for a sting.
What about the Bush administration selling guns to the Taliban? Or to Al Qaeda, or whatever.
Well, I mean,
No,
that's the CIA for you.
Yeah,
It was the Taliban.
Yeah, it was the Taliban to fight Al Qaeda, or whatever the fuck.
And the Taliban is now actually a recognized government.
Yeah, that took
Can you
over.
believe it?
What is it, Cabal?
Yeah.
And then
One last subject to touch on, because this is recent breaking news. Anybody familiar with the shooting that happened in Texas yesterday?
I saw a quick
Late
thing.
last night?
I saw a quick thing, but I didn't get a read up on it.
Neither
So,
did I.
this rolls in perfectly into the Castle Doctrine and Standard Ground laws. Two 17-year-olds were home with their mom and a younger sister. Three armed intruders entered the house. One of the 17-year-olds grabbed a family shotgun and shot and killed two of them, injured the third, who fled. It's a really good case of self-defense and how it can be used in a perfect example of the Castle Doctrine. It's why you should be armed. The family had firearms. The dad had trained his sons on how to use them, how to safely handle them, and at the end of the day, it saved 4 people's lives from a home invasion. All from just being able to have the basic knowledge of how to handle a firearm.
Right. Just knowing the manual of arms. I mean, an untrained individual with a gun is still dangerous. But it
And
just
then
goes to show you.
just for record, the 17-year-old was not facing charges. They're not planning on arresting him, nor did they arrest him that night. He broke it down perfectly. 2 armed intruders entered the house. He shot 2 of them, injured the third. The third fled.
Is there any recorded?
There's no recorded footage. They didn't have any ring cameras or anything like that.
Okay.
It's just an article that was written about it by a local news station. Obviously, something like this, it's a Second Amendment issue that's showing that owning a firearm is good, so you're not going to find it on a national news station.
Nope.
But it's up to us, and Coleon Noor also made a video about it, and I know a couple other big Second Amendment advocates made videos about it. We have to spread the message whenever we can about something like this, because national news isn't going to do it. Our podcast isn't around, same as most Second Amendment advocates. Talking points aren't around trying to convince people that are anti-gun. If you're anti-gun, you're not going to change. That's just your standpoint on it. We're not here to sway your opinion, because at the end of the day, you don't really care about what our opinion is. We are here to influence everybody that's in the middle. It's to spread information. That way you can have a well-informed opinion from not only one side, but from both sides. We're not here for the Wild West or anything like that. We just want to be able to own our firearms and use them for home defense. Or not home defense.
I don't know about you, man, but even then,
Self-defense.
even with those small requirements, it's still going to be the Wild West.
Ideally, yeah, there would be no gun control. That would be... Obviously, that's where all of us want it to fall, but we all also realize that that's never going to happen. There will always be gun control of some form. That's just what it is today. But now it's making it to where it's a reasonable gun control measure, not a extreme gun control measure. Just makes it hard on law-abiding citizens.
See, I disagree with you there, Nate. I think I should legally be able to own a 50 megaton nuke. So.
This is Jeremy's last day on the podcast.
I won't be able to fire it, but it will be in my house, by goddammit.
That's it, I quit. I disagree with all of you. Ugh.
It's just a paperweight.
Right. You see this? It's all paper. Just peel it back. There's me outside with a bunch of lights.
It's meant to hold down my house during tornadoes.
Exactly. This is just a tent.
Exactly.
Just a counterweight.
Hera Artemis has given us a follow.
It's like
That's
she's...
my
It's like I was going to say, it's like she was required to.
I don't think she's required to.
I don't know. I think there's a little bit of obligation going on.
I followed your channel. You followed mine. God damn it.
Domestic abuse will ensue.
Whoa. Nothing like that. Nothing like
With
that.
love and respect, and maybe a couple fist fights.
Maybe a squirt gun with piss.
That would be terrible. Because that would not go to my favor.
Nate would just be like, ah.
Well, thank you to everybody that tuned in for episode 1 on the new channel. These will be happening every Saturday. It looks like we're still trying to figure out the best time to do these. We know for the most part they're going to fall somewhere between 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific, to 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. They will happen every Saturday, though.
We will possibly think about or talk about doing one during the week. If you guys would like that, let us know in our Discord, let us know in the chat. We'll kind of figure it out from there. But every Saturday we will be on here promptly.
And we have our Discord linked. Join the Discord. We have a couple different channels in there to go over. It's a whole community thing, everything from gaming to streamers to just normal gun talk. But in there we also have important things like giving us topic ideas or podcast suggestions on how we can improve this for you guys and topics you would like to see us cover, along with any guests or anything like that you'd like to see on there, and then we can reach out, hopefully try to make it happen as we grow.
Also, if
Well
there's
said.
anything you want to know about, anything you're not very familiar with, again, give us some talking points on our Discord. We will look those up, and so you don't have to do the work. We'll kind of be the middleman for you. Whether it's laws in your state you want to know, we can kind of break it down. Again, we are not lawyers. We can only explain how the laws are to us and what we can interpret from them and kind of relay them back to you as much as they make sense to us as they will to you. We aren't lawyers. We can't give legal advice.
If you need clarification on a law, we can try to help with that. If you shoot somebody, we are not the people to reach out to.
Don't talk to us. You don't know us.
Yeah, right. You've never seen
I
this
know a couple
podcast.
hiding spots, but
And
I'll save that for out of the.
that is why our guest Connor is not a regular.
He'll shelter you and your family for 50,000.
Whoa. 100,000.
Reasonable price.
Reasonable. It's only a house
If you're
payment.
25 and younger, it's going to be that much. If you're an elderly person, it's going to be like 3 times as much. And if you have a heart condition,
Yeah. If I have to go get you, if I have to get you medication,
right?
extra.
Extra. Oh, and don't forget to bring sunscreen and toothpicks.
Right.
That's going to be your lunch for the next year.
All right. Well, that is all we got for this episode. Thank you for coming. We hope to see you guys again next week.
All right.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you for joining,
Toodles.
everybody. We'll see you next time.